A widowed mother's first day in years takes a sinister turn as she begins to receive dropped messages from an unknown stranger that pleads with her to kill her date, with her son's life hanging as leverage. Film fans of YouTube, hello and welcome back to the channel. I am Josh, the Movie Apprentice, and today I'm going to be looking at Drop, directed by Christopher Landon and starring Meghann Fahy and Brandon Sklenar. This is a film that is by Blumhouse and is kind of a deterrent from Blumhouse's usual kind of movies. Rather than going for a horror route, this is very much more of a thriller. For me, Drop is one that is very entertaining, that does have its flaws and its red flags in there, but I do say that Drop is a very fun, original movie that people should be checking out. Now, to start off with, I'll say the strongest aspect of this film from a technical standpoint is in its cinematography and lighting. This is a film that takes place in primarily a single location and a single table. It does move around a bit, but the bulk of the drama and the action takes place at this table during this date. And as such, it means that the camera angles can get very repetitive. The classic two-shot over shoulder, POV shots. There's only so much you can do purely from the camera angles. So what the film does is it takes an artistic approach and really dives into the character's mindset and psyche. Our lead in this is recovering from a previous relationship that was marred in domestic abuse, and it was the worst kind of abuse possible. So there are moments where she will go in on herself in a visual way that is depicted that directly represents that feeling of being trapped underwater, trapped within yourself, oblivious to the world around you. That is where the film shines its strongest for me, because it gives us some great little moments, as it usually is saved for moments where she is confronted with something that makes a whole world or a whole plan come crashing down around her, and the surrounding area fades away, only showing us her and a particular item she is interacting with. It is very much a visual representation of spacing out, and that allows this film to be very engaging from a visual perspective. Now, going to performances, I liked Fahy's performance. She does a fantastic job in this, playing someone that is going through, quite frankly, the most stressful time of her life. She is already anxious about going on this date due to her prior experiences with her ex-husband. Her having to deal with both that trauma and trying to overcome it in order to go on this date with a guy who seems really sweet, and then being thrown into this airdrop hell that is being played across this date. She is really trying to both seem normal for her date, as well as begging for her son to be kept safe, and is kind of in a powerless situation that she has no control over, and she's trying to find every small way to try and get a bit of a foothold and a bit of control in her life in this moment. And that is a performance that is carried very well by Fahy. She does a fantastic job in this, but she bounces off very well with Sklenar. Like, their bond in this, their chemistry needed to work in order for us to buy the romantic element of this and to really buy why she would want to try and save this man as opposed to just getting the job done with. Like, I have no doubt that this character is someone she had no chemistry with or generally just didn't vibe with, and she would not have hesitated to do the kill because it is against the life of her son here. So she has to weigh up the pros and cons of each situation. And the fun element of this movie is it has that whodunit aspect of it. So we're introduced to a number of characters within her first 5 minutes in this really fancy restaurant, and it's on us, the audience, to try and figure out who it will be. There are a couple of obvious red herrings that our lead character is looking towards, but there are characters that seem undersold, that are present in our minds, and we have to try and figure out who it is. And I will say that I did not call it. I thought it was going to be one particular character, and that character actually ends up being one of the biggest helps to our lead character in this. And I will say as well, in terms of supporting characters, they all play their jobs really well. You have a sleazy pianist, you have a tech bro who's always on his phone, that is always the center of attention. We have this elder gentleman going on a blind date. We have a very kind bartender, and we have a very enthusiastic waiter. I'm going to say that by the end of this movie, I hope that the staff in this restaurant got a heavy tip in world, because There is so much stuff they have to deal with in this. I love the way the film used its setting, used its space, and established the distance of this airdrop, and just use its environment very effectively. This is a very clever original film because it's a very nice original concept, bringing in the terrors of modern day technology. That is something I really enjoyed. However, I will say there are elements of this film that do feel a little weak for me. For example, there was a character in this that, quite frankly, the only reason they survived this movie is purely because the script demands it. There is no way in world that this character would have made it to the end of the movie. And I will say as well that there are moments where the film does feel like it could have ended a bit sooner in terms of what she has to do, but it kind of gets a bit contrived in why it has to go forward. And there's also the aspect of when we get to the finale, when we get to the solution, it's kind of a big look out into how it reaches this solution, this resolution. Because if this one character didn't say one particular thing to our lead character, then our lead character would have had no idea who the individual that was causing her all this pain was. That would mean that an action she does take doesn't matter in the long run because it relies on her being fed this small bit of information randomly for the film to play out the way it does in the final third. So it gets a bit contrived in that final third. But in terms of a film that keeps you engaged, gives some gorgeous shots and cinematography with some fantastic stage lighting, and the themes it gives of survivors of domestic abuse and having to get back out there into the world after struggling for so long. I will say to all those that have suffered from abuse in their relationships, this is a film that will need to be flagging up a bit of a warning for you because there are elements of abuse in this that might trigger some individuals. But in terms of an overall quality film, I would say this is a very fun, original film that is very engaging. And I loved how unpredictable it was, but it gets very contrived in that final third. Some of the earlier bits I thought could have been contrived. They dealt with quite nicely. Like, why does the date stay as long as he does? They dive into that. They answer that question. But as we get to that final third, it becomes a little bit contrived and very much the script demands something to happen. So we need specific things to happen. There are things that are established that do help justify some of the more contrived bits later on, but it is a case of it's more luck than intelligence that saves the day in the end. That is something that I thought could have been executed a tiny bit better. However, I am unsure how they could have executed it in a different way, so it's kind of a balancing act for me. Before I get into my grade, if you like seeing our channel, click the like button and subscribe for more video reviews that's coming all the time. Without further ado, let's grade this one. So Drop is a fun, original movie that needs support because we pray for original movies, and this is a very fresh, original idea utilizing modern technology and giving us very relatable themes that could connect to different people in different ways, dealing with the hells of online dating, as well as victims of abuse and the trauma associated with it. There are some great themes in that, which film does very well, but the way there's kind of a contrived element to it in that final third, and the fact that there was a big moment at the end that doesn't feel 100% earned. And I'm gonna have to say that for me, Drop is an okay cup of tea. So Drop, have you seen it? If you have, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like to see the channel, click the like button and subscribe for more videos that's coming all the time. But until next time, everybody, I am Josh, I'm your movie apprentice, and I'll see you all in the next video.